Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about why I moved to South America and the reasonings behind it, some of the challenges, some of my expectations and fears, and how it's going. So a little bit about me. I am 23. I am gender fluid and queer. I am bisexual, queer, somewhere in there, and I am an adult content creator. So that's my little history. The other part of my history is that I come from a military family. Even after we were out of the military, we moved a lot, so a lot of my life was spent in different places. This led me to not really have a sense of home growing up. Like, home was wherever I was putting my head down at night and wherever the rest of my family was. So I've never really felt attached to one place, especially in the US. I've never felt this sense of like patriotism or American pride. From a young age, I kind of knew that I was going to live outside the US and that just the US wasn't for me. Like, this wasn't where I was gonna spend the rest of my life. So I started saving up once I got a job, and I just could put a little bit of each paycheck into a little account. And then I moved out of where I was raised to Florida. I lived in Florida for 4 years, and Florida is not great. So that really led me to start saving up more and more to be able to move. And then when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I was like, wow, okay, this is definitely a country that I don't want to live in anymore and that I don't feel comfortable living in. And so I continued to save up. And then I had plans to move 2025, 2026. That was my goal. But when Trump was elected, it was kind of a, okay, yeah, I need to get out of the US as soon as possible. So I really aggressively started studying and saving to try to find a country that would work for me. My original hope was to go to Germany, but then I was taking a deeper look at their politics and their visas, and it just didn't feel like a right fit for me. So the little country I'm living in now, I shouldn't say little, but the country I'm living in now is in South America. I was really surprised. I had kind of written off South America as there is a lot of I don't want to say propaganda, but there's a lot of stigma around South America, and so it wasn't even really on my radar. But the more I looked into this country, the more I felt connected to it, and the more I felt like it would be a good choice for me. So that was in November, and then by December I had planes booked to here. I was going on a trip to see a couple of my family members one last time before the move, and then by March, the beginning of March, I was on a plane to where I am now. So my birthday was my first full day in my new country. I got so sick on the plane over here, so the first day was really just spent recovering, but that's kind of the process. I live in my own apartment now. I'm still on a tourist visa until September, but between now and then I'm going to go to a digital nomad visa, and from there I will go into the other types of visas and the process of becoming a resident here. The reasons, I've already kind of gone into a couple of why I wanted to move, did have a lot to do with politics. I just, like I said, never really loved what the US was about, especially when it came to minorities and ecologically. I was very much a nature kid growing up, and so kind of seeing how the US respected the public spaces and I should say respected the public spaces and really neglected things like national parks, and that's even more true now with what's going on. So that was a big reason politics didn't really feel safe in the US. Another big reason was that we all know, if you live in the US or you've been to the US, you know how horribly expensive it is. And I do not make a lot of money. I make enough to live, and I'm very grateful for that. And I make enough to put into savings a little bit each month, but I have always wanted to have a home with my own little garden and a space that I can just call mine. And the US for the foreseeable future is not going to be that space. So I wanted to look for a place that was a bit more affordable, where I could kind of get out of survival mode and really look into future planning, whether it's here or really I just spend time here to be able to take me to another place that I do want to spend the rest of my life at. I just wanted to go to a space where, like I said, I could stop worrying about how I was going to pay rent and really just start thinking about the future and saving up for my future, whatever I want that to look like. Getting into some fears that I had and the reality, I kind of like I touched on earlier, the South America has been very told to us in the US that it's just all completely unsafe, that it's all very destitute. At least that's what I was raised on. And so as I was doing some research into my country that I'm in now, I found out that it was exponentially safer than the US, which was insane to me. And it really comforted me. And now that I'm here, I feel so much safer going out on my own. Other female-bodied people travel by themselves here at night, very comfortably and frequently. So that was a big relief to just know that I am safer here. Another fear and reality was the expenses. So moving, period, is very expensive. Moving out of the country is even more expensive. So I sold my horribly run down little car and had been saving, and it got pretty tight. There's still a lot that I need to pay for, so I'm not exactly living the life, but like groceries and like necessary life things are less expensive here. I am paying more in rent right now, but I'm paying for a much better location and not having 5 roommates, so I'll take the higher rent. The other thing I was really worried about was a language barrier. I am very much still an extreme beginner when it comes to Spanish, and I'd even heard that I was raised kind of understanding Mexican Spanish, but they don't speak Mexican Spanish down here, and they do have a different dialect, and so I was really worried about that. Thankfully, the person that moved with me does speak a bit more Spanish than I do, and in general, people have just been incredibly kind down here about me pulling out Google Translate or just kind of getting by with my very limited Spanish. So that has definitely been a bit of a challenge when I go to get my start the residency process. I do need to bring a translator with me, just because that is written on their website that if you don't speak Spanish, you can't just pull out Google Translate. Like, you need to have someone there to translate for you. So that's not been as big of a barrier as I thought. There are also a decent bit of English speakers down here, but everyone who doesn't speak English is just so kind about helping you and giving you some patience. Another thing I was really worried about is the visa process. My greatest fear is not being able to stay here, especially because I have really started to fall in love with this country, and I don't think I would be allowed to go back into the US with my digital footprint and how outspoken politically I am online. So I still am a bit anxious about that whole process going through. Thankfully, I joined like a Facebook group of other people from the US that are also going through the same process. Some of them have been here for a few years now, and so I'm really grateful to be able to lean on those resources. So that's working out. The last thing that I have to say I didn't really expect when it came to fears was the loneliness. I have a friend down here that I've hung out with one time, but I haven't ever really considered how lonely I would get. Obviously, I live with someone, but you kind of want to hang out with other people sometimes. So I've been getting a lot of my social interaction from going to the grocery store or the produce shop, and that's okay. It's okay, but I'm definitely hoping to be able to make some friends down here soon. To wrap it all up, am I happy that I moved? I am very happy that I moved. There have been a lot of challenges. For instance, if you've been following along with my life update videos, we don't have our cats here yet. I miss them dearly. I'm probably not going to be able to get them here until like September. So that's been really hard. We don't have any of my stuff here. So that's also been a little bit hard, but we've been surviving on what we were able to bring with us. And all in all, I'll take the safety, I'll take the, access to healthcare, gender affirming care if I ever decide to go on hormones. I'll take the, women's rights and queer people's rights over the absolute horrifying disaster that is happening in the US. Right now, once I get a little bit more settled and I am a little bit further along on the getting my residency process, I am really going to start to continue to shift my focus towards making sure that I can be a resource for other people that are looking to get out of the US, whether that's helping my friends a bit with guidance or donating to charities. I'm really grateful that this space will be able to give me the resources and the time and the mental space to kind of go that way. So you will probably see a video from me sometime in the future going more into the details about moving and giving some recommendations on how to start the process if that's something you're also looking into. All in all, I am very happy I'm living in my country now. I'm very grateful that I was able to get here in looks like the right time. So that's been my little thoughts on everything, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about the process, let me know. I'll add them to my list of questions to answer in an upcoming video about how to get out of the US. So yeah, if you liked what I said today, please give a little like and subscribe. Thank you very much, guys.